This is Kyle, and you are back watching Knockouts and Three Counts. And hey, man, we're staying bringing you that great content. Last week we had Kenny Cross ahead of his fight for XFC at XFC 43, and this week we've got the return of another past guest. But you've got quite the big test for you, literally and figuratively, maybe in the form of a Bigfoot. You've got Brett Big Dog Martin as he goes to war with Bigfoot Silva on October 30th for Taura MMA. How you doing, brother, man?
Good. How are you, bro?
Hey, man, I'm surviving. I just got back from LA and shit. So I'm still getting used to the time again, but it's all good.
Heck yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Throw out social media real quick. Let everybody know where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Brett Martin on Facebook. Brett Big Dog Martin for the Facebook fight page, and then Big Dog 285 on Instagram.
All right, Corey, we all know we can find you at Fight Fan from the 313. Son of a bitch, start using your Instagram and Facebook.
That's it.
All right. So you've got quite the news since the last time we talked to you, man. You had a rough run with a couple of those fights with LFA and all that stuff. First of all, I guess the first question we need to ask is, how the hell did all this come to be? So what happened with Taura MMA and what went into this big marquee matchup that you got?
Not a lot, to be honest with you. Lucas Lutkus, I think is how they pronounce it, is Johnny Walker's manager from Brazil. I have spoke with him, on and off for a few years. He obviously reached out a couple years ago trying to see if I needed management, which, obviously everybody knows I'm taken care of, and I like to run with who I'm running with. So okay. Lucas 100% respected that, and he's always been, real straightforward ever since. Yeah, so I'm guessing he started matchmaking for Taura. They got the Bigfoot fight, and, who else in the regional scene or, who's not on the big show or not getting the respect they deserve that you should call, other than me. I feel like I'm one of the best products in the world on the regional scene, or even on the low level pro scene, I guess you would call it. I really don't know how else to put it.
I mean, it's the regional scene, but I mean, there's not even any argument in that, dude. I mean, if you look at your resume, I mean, you're ranked in the top 10 heavyweights in the country outside the UFC. You've got fights with some of the biggest names outside the UFC. You fought for the LFA title, which is obviously their biggest feeder at this point. I mean, there's really not any real argument. You've already got 2 heavyweight titles, and there's no reason that you shouldn't have been the one who's called about this fight. So what are your thoughts on the matchup? I mean, obviously he's a multi-time UFC vet, and this is a newer promotion, at least for the States even. What are your thoughts on the matchup itself? Like, is there anything that sticks out to you or anything at all?
The biggest thing that sticks out to me is he hasn't won a fight in like 5 or 8 years. I think if the 5 to 8 years, I think he hasn't won a fight. And then if you look at the fights he's taken, he takes tough fights. I mean, I get that, but he's just a vet, man. So it's one of these guys that we're going to have to come in and, be on our game, you know what I mean? Say to speak, not necessarily, I ain't got to, like the last couple guys I fought were, very athletic, very, very in their, some of them are in their prime, you know what I mean? So obviously Silva's kind of past his prime now and just trying to stick around and be relevant. So I guess I'm just being another one of those guys that go in there and show him that these next wave of fighters are the real fucking deal.
So is this like a one fight thing, or do you got multi-fight deal?
I don't sign no multi-fight deals no more since the LFA shit. It just doesn't make no sense on the regional scene. And to be honest with you, man, unless you're offering me 5 figures, you're probably not even going to get me to bat an eye at a multi-fight deal, because it just doesn't make sense, man. I know what my worth is. I see what these other guys that I've beat or that I've competed against what they're getting paid. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense for me to try to wrap my head around a multi-fight deal unless somebody's trying to actually pay me, what I deserve.
Well, and I mean, Kyle had made the point already. I mean, you're top 10 in the nation. I mean, there ain't much else that needs to be said. 9-1 record on the pro scene. You've beat some real contenders. I mean, I'm surprised honestly that it isn't the call from the upper organizations now. But I mean, like you said, this is a hell of a fight to at least get your name out there in those eyes,
Yeah, Yeah,
he
no,
hasn't won
definitely.
a fight in a little while, but shit, man, Bigfoot's still Bigfoot, man.
No, and that's what I mean. I'm not saying he hasn't won a fight in a while, but at the end of the day, you can't overlook nobody that's been in the game that long. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people are probably going to look at, who I am and say, well, Bigfoot's the better fighter because he's been in the UFC and blah, 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 blah. There's always that story, but isn't the real story when these guys come back to fight these prospects that shouldn't the story be these prospects coming up, because I'm the guy you're going to see for the next 15 years, not him. So I'm going to make this all about me, not about him. I respect him and I appreciate everything he's done till this point. But I feel like I'm a different animal and I see it every day. And I'm sick of being quiet and kind of sitting back and being a little bit too humble. You know what I mean? I'm always going to be humble, but I feel like I've been a little bit too humble in these last few years. And I'm just done with that. You know what I mean? I'm being as real as possible now. DQs have happened, but at the end of the day, you have to be good enough to get to those fights for those DQs to even happen, let alone, anything before that, where I've beaten guys 2 years ago who are now, in the UFC. So, I mean, it just, to me, I'm done being nice. I'm done playing games. If you don't want to pay me, then, you know what I mean? Don't reach out. And if you don't want me because of how I look, then, I really don't give a shit. I'm going to be here for a long time. So they just better get used to it.
It's just funny to me that you're still even hearing that, like, because of how you look. Obviously, everybody wants somebody that's going to look good for TV. But that being said, I mean, I would say Roy Nelson kind of shit all over that when he went on The Ultimate Fighter, won The Ultimate Fighter, and done what he's done in subsequent fights since. I mean, so at this point in 2020, I feel like it's kind of stupid to be hearing people, especially when we're talking about heavyweights of all divisions. We're talking about heavyweights. People are talking about how you look. I mean, at the end of the day, your record speaks for itself. Like you said, you don't get to an LFA title fight because you know people. It don't work that way. So,
No,
I
sir.
mean, it's just funny to still see that even in 2020. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think the craziest thing for me is like I said on the, and I talked to Friendo the other day. It's not like high school sports where you show up and the person is who it is. You know what I mean? We're professional athletes now. People are picked, brought in to fight. So like I said, whether you're bringing me in to lose or win, man, I could care less. I just don't want, no more bullshit, where they're putting out highlight videos with this guy for 2 minutes and me for 15 seconds. You know what I mean? I'm done with that shit. If you're not going to respect me, then, you're going to get the same thing in return. If you're sending me pictures of these guys on a photo trying to get me to post it on my page, I probably ain't going to do it. You know what I mean? If it ain't got me on it, I don't want nothing to do with it. This is my business. You know what I mean? I used to play that nice stuff until, I felt like I got spit on, you know what I mean, by what happened in the last, year and a half. So I'm just done with that, man. If people respect me, I respect them. And I'll be very clear on how I think fights will go with me from now on, because I feel like people aren't understanding, the level of mentality I bring into this.
Well, that's a huge part of it, though. You got to be able to, unfortunately, like Kyle was saying, with the, aspects of it being 2020, man, everybody wants to see that story. Everybody wants to see somebody spout off, go, tell the tale about what they're about to go do to their opponent or what the hell they've already done,
Yeah, and I get that, but my whole thing is if somebody looks real good, people talk about them. So it works the same way, opposite.
Absolutely.
The world has two different sides. You know what I mean? People like good and people always talk about bad. So if you think I look bad, that should be perfect. Because as soon as you put me on TV, everybody's going to be talking about me. As soon as I perform, all that talking, I've just proved them all wrong once again. So now my brand even goes up farther. So you'd think they would try to promote me just off the fact of, how I look. But, like I said, if they want to promote me as the fat kid from Little Town Hesperia fighting some big gladiator, I could care less, man. Like I said, you pay me, I won't say shit. I'll show up. I'll do what a professional is supposed to do, man. If you want me to sell tickets, I do that too. You know what I mean? I take good care of myself. My publicity is very well known. And like I said, I'm very straightforward, very humble. So I do everything right, and I'm still not getting the calls after I'm beating these good guys or, good guys to whoever, I guess you could say. To me, they ain't good because obviously I done smoked them. So my whole mentality is just, you know what I mean? I'm going to keep knocking these dudes out, and I don't know how much longer I'll be in the fight game if people keep trying to offer me this chump change to come fight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not with that. So hopefully, you know, one of these, I shouldn't say one of these promotions. I've already talked to Bellator, man, you know, and Bellator has offered me fights and I've signed or said yes to fights. It's just on the other end, they never match up. It seems to see, you know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? So
It's
you know
like
how
you
that
always
goes.
talk about, Corey, that A side, B side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't ever want people to feel like, you know, a big promotion isn't trying to get me in there. I feel like Bellator is trying really hard, and maybe we see that happen. Obviously I want to go to the UFC. Everybody talks about the UFC. The dogs are in the UFC, and the most respected fighters are in the UFC. You know, that's how I build my brand. That's how I get beyond fighting. You know, I'm not in this just to fight. I'm in this to build my resume and do many things from fighting. So, you know, like I've said multiple times before on here. So, I mean, I'm with it, man. I love to fight and all that. It's just, you know,
It's
all
business,
that the
though,
nice
bro.
guy stuff is over.
Yeah, I mean, it's business, though, bro. At the end of the day, you're trying to have this be all you're doing for a career, man. And I mean, to go with that, to step off fighting a little bit, I mean, you're gonna have a family here soon. You know, you're getting married, or didn't you get married already?
Yeah, Friday, this weekend, Saturday.
That's what I thought. I couldn't remember whether it was. I knew it was coming up. So first of all, congratulations on that.
Congratulations,
Second of all,
man.
what are your thoughts on that? And does that, like, you know, how are you feeling with that, getting married in a pandemic of all fucking things?
Man, I'll just put it this way. I'm a dog when it comes to, you know, that's why I like my nickname, because I put a lot of things on my plate. And I feel like when I do put a lot of things on my plate, sometimes they might go bad, but you see what my record is, man. No matter what I'm doing, I got other things going on with fighting. You know what I mean? I work a full-time job. I work during the winter, you know, so like when I fought Parisian, I was plowing the whole winter. You know what I mean? So I'm constantly working. I constantly got things going on. So this was just another thing. And the lady 100% supports my fighting, man. Like I said, I'm completely blessed. Not very many guys run into a lady like mine. And, you know, she's just with it. She just wants to be, she wants just to make it official. You know what I mean? So we don't do much drinking. We're not too big into partying, obviously, just because, you know, like I said, I'm always busy, man. I'm a hard worker. I'll party later on, you know, when I know my kids and shit are set, you know, so. And and obviously I get down a little bit after my fights, but when I'm in camp, I'm pretty serious, and I really don't have time to do much else other than work and train.
I respect it. Well, Corey, I'm flapping my gums. I know you got yours laid up over there, man.
Well, I mean, we've kind of touched on a couple of the issues, but I mean, like we were saying, man, 9-1, that's a hell of an impressive record, man, in the pro heavyweight division. I keep digging at the fact that I'm surprised. I mean, Bellator is obviously a very big organization, but it kind of jumps back to what Kyle was saying with the whole A side, B side. It kind of sounds like what I'm assuming Taura MMA is trying to do with you as well, trying to feed you to somebody that's, you know, a little more well known and shit, hoping to get, you know, their guy a win. And then it ain't looking to go that way, I can tell.
Yeah, no, and I ain't got no issue. Like I said, man, I could be the underdog. Like I was the underdog when I was little. You know, I was a 215-pound wrestler in high school that was 5'7" my freshman sophomore year. You know what I mean? So I've been the underdog since being the underdog. I could care less. So Tour's been all right. You know what I mean? There's the little issues, like they tried to send me a picture with somebody else on it to post it. It's got my opponent on it. You know what I mean? Like that's where I was like, yeah, come on, man. I'm not promoting Bigfoot. No, I'm sorry. I'm not a fangirl. You know what I mean? I love fighters, man. But like I said, man, I'm in this for a whole different reason than the clout. I don't need no clout.
Yeah.
That clout shit. I'm from the country, man. The only thing I'm worried about is my girl's clout, you know, like making sure my family respects me and loves me and understands exactly how I'm moving. You know what I mean? I don't want my family to think I'm fake or ever, you know, I'm the same person today that I was when I was 16, just smarter. You know what I mean? So I could care less about all that other shit. I just, like I said, man, I want tough fights. I want shit that's going to make me get up in the morning, not fighting these guys that, you know, so-and-so, oh, he'll fight you. Just because somebody wants to fight you doesn't mean you should fight them. That makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like a fight where people think you're not going to win is a fight that I want to take. And I take a lot of fights like that. That's why this one makes sense, because I see a lot of people talking. So, I mean, even if I do lose, which, you know, it's been, like I said, I got one. I got one. So I'll be humble in that. So if it does happen, I promise you, I'm going to do the same thing after the first time I lost as an amateur and the second time I lost as a pro. I go on like these long 5-6 fight win streaks. You know what I mean? I get better. So, I mean, if I lose, cool, man, I'm going to be ready to revamp and get back to business. I'm only 26 years old. You know what I mean? I just started a family. I got a job. I got a house, 2 cars. You know, my life is in great hands right now. I'm just trying to keep building. You know, I'm not trying to get comfortable. So, like I said, I like to take tough fights. And if it's not a tough fight, then, you know, I mean, you probably won't even see me really reach out. That's why I've been struggling so hard lately trying to get fights, is because if it's not Tony Lopez, who's got 80 fights, or Bigfoot Silva, who's in the UFC, or a Bellator vet, you know, I'm not really interested, you know what I mean? Because it just doesn't make no sense to my brand. I just took 2 fights for LFA against, you know, guys that are on the same level as me, and you've seen how that went. And I'm taking those fights for like barely any money, taking time off work and traveling halfway across the country to try to fight. So, I mean, and I'm doing that again with this fight, which it is what it is. I'm not trying to complain. I'm just saying, you see me doing these things, not any other heavyweights.
Yeah, and that's you made the point of age. That was something I was going to bring up later in the interview. Is that's extremely young at heavyweight. I mean, not only have you looked impressive and built up your record, I mean, that is young at heavyweight. You see the way that the divisions play out, especially like up towards the higher end, man.
Well, you mentioned Bellator. Bellator's heavyweight division for the majority is
look at the tournament they ran last year or the year before.
Yeah, and it's so hard for me. And when I was younger, man, like I shouldn't say younger, a couple years ago, it was easy for me to watch fights. It's so hard for me to watch some of these fights, man. I don't even really enjoy watching some UFC fights anymore, just because I just got such a bitter taste in my mouth. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not a bitter person, but I work extremely hard, man. I've wasted a lot of time on my youth, you know, 22 to 26 now, from my family, my girl, you know what I mean? I just want my respect, and that's that, you know what I mean? I'm always going to be here, but it's just different now. You know what I mean? Like I said, yeah, I'm 26.
You got something to fight for.
Yeah, I'm 26. I get that. But think about a lot of these guys, like he says, in the heavyweight division, these guys are 37, 38, taking a year off before they fight. I was 25 13 months ago. You know what I mean? And I fought one of the biggest, most threatening prospects with power in both hands, a scary guy. And I controlled him for 22 minutes until he had a meltdown and started throwing illegal blows. You know what I mean? That's not my doing. But at the end of the day, I'll take that however y'all want to give it to me. Oh, a little BS DQ. Then I'll take this fight and I'll finish this dude if that's what's to come. You know what I mean? I don't care. Like I said, it's just I'm the one out here doing this. And I'm, like I said, I was 25 and now I'm 26. So it's a year of still growing. My body hasn't even, my brain's still expanding. You know what I mean? My body's still growing into being a man. You know, I'm starting to get a lot stronger. I've been working, you know, like I said, my life's a lot more simple now. Been at the same job for about 4 years. So, you know, things are going good. That's why I say these guys, I'm not too upset anymore. I was a little bit last year, but since I've been, you know, with Jamal doing so well and being able to train with him and listen to how his coaches see me, and even the other people I've been training with, you know, at different gyms, just seeing how people react to grappling with me and just being around me. I know in my mind now, you know, within the last year, that I'm going to be a problem for anybody in the world, regardless of how big, what they do, you know, like I'm so well-rounded. I'm going to be an issue definitely in 4 or 5 years. So that's why I say you'll probably never see me go away. I'm going to be here for a while.
And you can't not respect that though, man. I mean, at the end of the day, your record's going to speak for itself. We've said that multiple times on this show, but I mean, it's at a certain point, you can't look at somebody's record and look at the people that you're fighting. And then even if you talk about this, you know, I mean, I know you follow the show, so you know that we've been bringing on a lot of guys from the Contender Series and all that kind of stuff. But like when we first started doing the Contender Series interviews at the beginning of the quarantine, you know, I told Corey, you know, when Josh Parisian showed up again, I told him, I was like, you know, they've already fought. Brett's already fought Josh, you know, and you got all these things. I said, you know, I'm telling you, bro. And that's, you know, and Corey brought that up with the A side, B side thing when we interviewed Kenny, because they you could tell there was a difference in how they talked about it. And then like, you could even hear in the way they described, you know, both guys. And I feel like a lot of times they're trying to do that to you, as we've talked about. So I feel like now,
and I feel like I don't mean to interrupt, but I feel like the Contender Series like banks on bringing these guys back. Like that's what it seems like this year. Like that's why Kenny performed pretty well, but it's like, oh, we're gonna bring him back. So it's like they want to bring you back so they can try to build some hype, man. It's just
it does seem that way in a sense, because that one guy, what was that guy's name that they signed to the developmental contract on the last one? The black guy,
William Knight.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he fought on the last one. He won, and then they signed him to a developmental contract. Now, obviously, we cover wrestling, so that's nothing new. That happens in a lot of things. But I'm just saying, like, that does kind of go with what you're saying in a way.
Yeah,
when you
and
think about
I just see it as like they're building fighters. You know what I mean? So if you call me right now with the Contender Series fight, man, like I said, I'll probably tell you shove it right where the sun don't shine. You know what I mean? I would love to fight for the UFC, but if you're gonna call me and tell me I gotta prove to you again after I finish this, dude, you know what I mean? I'll probably laugh at you because, dude, if you think I'm not close with XFC, you know, Myron reached out to me beginning of quarantine about what was going on with XFC. So, you know what I mean? If you think I ain't got people reaching out and trying to get things set up for my future, you know, you're crazy. Like I said, man, I'm a smart kid. I'm not stupid. And that's what's crazy about this COVID thing is I see a lot of fighters struggling to get along. Well, last year people were making fun of me because I work full time. You know what I mean? Then I beat Parisian and everybody kind of went away and quit bringing it up. Well, I still work full time through this COVID while everybody else has been laid up trying to figure out how to take care of their families. You know what I mean? So that's why I say I'm different, is because I think a little bit different than everybody else.
I totally respect that, man. We were just talking about that, bro. Like, I just got back from LA Monday. I went out there with one of our past guests to kind of expand the brand. You know, I'm out there going to shows like GCW and getting these interviews with other guys, man. So I totally can respect where you guys are going, man. That's why, like, any chance I get to help guys like you or anybody else, you know, who are local guys, man, I'm all over that.
Yeah, no, and that's the big reason when Jamal took that fight. You know, I'm not going to be able to travel a lot with the way my schedule is, but with COVID, when COVID hit, it actually kind of blessed me because I was getting days off of work. You know what I mean? So I ended up being able to go with,
worked for me.
Yes, and I got to be able to go with him into his fight, and what a beautiful opportunity. And that's the type of stuff I'm in this for. You know, that was my dream. I told people, I had somebody buy me tickets to the Chicago UFC show, and I told them, like, I'm not going, man. You know, as a fighter, I believe in, if I'm gonna go, I want to be fighting in it. I don't want, or cornering, or, you know, helping a buddy. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to pay my way when I believe I should be there. You know what I mean? Like, I've just never been about that. I don't think I paid to go to very many shows unless it was to go watch one of my, like, close friends. You know, I like I said, this is a business to me. So I try to treat it as such. You know, that way when my kids are here and I need to be putting money towards their life and not fighting, I'm not making the wrong decisions. You know what I mean? Thinking that fighting is going to back me the way I back it. You get what I'm saying? Because
no, I totally respect that.
That's not how it works.
That's the right mindset to have too, because at least that way you're straight either way it goes, man. It's
yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's an interesting time. So that's another thing I want to talk to you about. Obviously, this will be your first fight post quarantine, all that kind of stuff, quarantine, COVID, all that stuff. What are your thoughts about going into a fight where are they going to have fans at this fight? I mean, I know it's in Florida.
Yeah, yep. No, it's in Florida. So right now they're saying, yeah, but I mean, we're seeing everything spike back up, and this is exactly the time they said everything was going to spike back up, you know? So who knows? I work outside every day, man. I'm around people every day. I train every day. So I'm all for protecting the people and trying to do things the right way, but you only live one life, man. You know what I mean? And I'm not getting any younger, you know, and the old people ain't getting any younger. So if I'm going to die, I say this all the time, I'm going to die, bro. And I'm going to go out enjoying my life. So obviously I do a good job of being careful, and I wear masks when I'm out and around people. You know, I follow all the rules. I'm not trying to be a prick to anybody that's, you know, being really COVID, you know, careful. I'm just doing what I'm doing and doing my best to stay in people's good heart. You know what I mean?
Hey, man,
and I feel the same way. Exactly.
Yep.
To the same team.
You
got to do what you got to do. You can't shut the whole world down and have everybody.
Well, yeah, and you know, you want people to die in their home. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I can die driving my car. You know what I mean? My girl just had some friends lose both of their parents in a head-on collision, just bam, like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I get COVID. You know, if COVID was as bad as they talk about, you know, I lived in a country my whole life and never seen, you know, bums on the street. So then I moved down here, you know, in my adulthood to build a career and a life. So I pay really close attention to those things because I like to care about people. You know what I mean? But these same guys are on the corner, man, and they're healthy. You know what I mean? They don't get no hygiene. They get, you know, they don't have money for masks. They're hanging out together for warmth every night. You know what I mean? Like, and these people are healthy. So if it was as bad as it was, you know, killing people wise or actually hurting people, I get people get sick, but people get sick every day. People battle cancer every day, which is an actual life-threatening thing for any age human being, let alone an 80-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So, and my grandparents know exactly how I am. You know, they're coming to my wedding this weekend. We're going to do everything we can, you know, and we're having a smaller wedding just for the fact of what we knew a lot of people wouldn't come just because of COVID, you know? So I've been, like I said, I care for people and I'm not trying to seem like I don't. I just don't believe in completely shutting the world down and making people suffer and die. You know what I mean? Why not live good life and then die, you know, happy instead of suffering right before you pass away? I've just never been that way.
To go off that, man, you know, it's crazy you say that because, like I said, I just got back from LA. I was out there at the GCW show. Shout out to them. It was ran real well, socially distanced, all that good stuff.
Good for them.
But it was crazy, man, because just the week before, a couple of our past guests, you know, you had Lindsay Snow who won Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, and you had Nolan who was doing his thing at Paradigm, but they had a 3-day long event in Indiana. But this one was ran all inside. And there was all this backlash on Twitter and everything else because obviously with the given climate, you knew somebody was going to get COVID. I mean, I hate to say it, but you knew at least one was going to get COVID. Unfortunately, they were people that I knew. There were people that I knew that got COVID. There were people that past guests of the show, Megaran, who was out there with me, had caught COVID. You know, I mean, it's not to say that people aren't going to catch it, but to go off of what you're saying, I mean, I have Crohn's disease, right? So it's an autoimmune disease. So for me, I'm at high risk of it, fully aware of that. But just like you said, at the same time, man, like I can't speak for nobody else. And I'd love to hear, you know, your thoughts on, you know, how it's affected you at all. But for me, man, it's like, yeah, at first was I super like, oh shit. Like, I don't, you know, I ain't trying to be like all up in nobody's business or none of that kind of shit. Cause I wasn't trying to catch it. Fair game. I ain't even going to say I wasn't. But now here we are. What? Yeah, that was in April. So you're what? 6 months? 6 months of this, pretty much.
6 months.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's not serious. My supervisor at work passed away from it, but at the same time, man, like you said, for somebody like you who's chasing a dream where obviously you're not going to fight in Michigan all the time, or like in my case where you had to go out to LA to go, you know, go make some moves and things. Yes, there needs to be precautions put in. Yes, you need to be careful about things, and yes, you need to be mindful of other people around there. But if we're all going to stay stuck up and like stuck because of COVID, I mean, holy shit, can you imagine the mental damage that it's already done and what's going to continue to happen?
Let alone adults, man. That's where people, I think, are missing a lot of the stuff I say about this COVID stuff. You know, people overlook the fact of how many kids get, you know, mental and physical abuse day in and day out in their homes. The only time they feel comfortable is when they are at school. You know what I mean? And I was lucky enough to grow up in a great home, a great childhood. And I see a lot of my friends that didn't get that, you know what I mean? And now I'm not even saying they were mentally or physically abused, just even money wise. You know what I mean? I grew up in a town where like virtual learning right now, I was just talking about it with my boss. There's no way everybody in my hometown's got Wi-Fi. I guarantee it. You know what I mean? There's just it's almost impossible. Just like anywhere, it probably is impossible. You know, but living out there in the country, there's no way to get Wi-Fi unless you're paying $80, $90 a month. And some of those families can't afford that. So I morally worry about the youth coming up because that's what the biggest issue is in the world right now anyways, is, you know, we're not doing things right in the middle age that way. Therefore, when people are getting 50, 60, they're still living the 30, 40-year-old years when they're supposed to be living 50, 60-year-old years. You know, you see way too many old people working way too damn hard and not enjoying life. I don't want to be that way. So that's why I fight. You know what I mean? That's sucks to be that way. I'm not really a fighter, but if you're telling me you're going to pay me a good chunk of change because I do things right and I'm a professional and I can knock somebody out, then shit, you know what I mean? Maybe my kids won't have to do that.
I feel that 100%, man. That's my motto, man. These kids don't stop eating. I can't stop working, man. It is
exactly.
what it is, you know?
Yep. And, you know, and with the COVID stuff, traveling, you know, I get the precautions, but, you know, my big thing I was real careful when it all first started. You know, they shut our work down and, you know, and I took probably a good 3-4 weeks off of work where I only had to go in for a couple hours and there was nobody else in and, you know, whatnot. But my thing is why are we taking these precautions now? You know what I mean? What happens when these flus come through and wipe out, you know, almost, you know, 30% of the old folks in an area? You know, you don't see grocery stores wiping their carts down and trying to take care of their people then. So what's the difference now with this COVID that's putting out about the same type of numbers? Yeah, more people are getting, you know, tested for COVID, but the death ratio is not, it's just like the flu or, you know, or any kind of a cold, you know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like, why aren't we taking these precautions year round every day to take care of our fellow human beings? Then, there's a pandemic, so now we got to act like we do things
I agree
right.
with that 110%.
That just sounds like 100% America to me. You know what I mean? And I have a big problem with that. You know, that just sounds like the same issue with, you know, the police brutality in inner schools and in city school systems. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of issue. It's like until something bad happens, we don't shine no light on it. Something bad happens, like, look at, we're putting light on it. So don't be mad at us. We're shining light on it, when it's like, we should always hold everybody to the same standard and make sure people, no matter what their job are, that they're trying to, you know, progress, become better people. That way it shows the youth that they always have to become better people. You know, you can't we got too many people that are comfortable and just not doing nothing, not being nothing. You know what I mean? We got to be able to teach our youth to want to be better. You know what I mean? And that's how the world's going to last longer, in my opinion.
You got to have tangible skills too. That's a big thing, man. A lot of, like, put it this way. I feel like I give this example like once every other episode or something like that, but I do garage doors for a living.
Yep.
Normally a 2-man crew job, you know, as you would think.
Yep.
I work by myself because I'm not going to work with one of these young cats that are just a dumbass that doesn't even show interest in what the hell.
You sound just like one of my best friends. He does underdecking, which is supposed to be a 2-man job. He travels all over the United States by himself, man, putting them up, just because he kind of deals with the same situation.
It's just hard to find real help, man. It's hard to find somebody.
And that starts with the parents, you know. It starts, like I said, it starts with us right now, 25, 30-year-old people, understanding that we got to be able to teach our kids to, you know, listen to the right people, pick and choose. You know, they got to be able to stick up for themselves, so to speak. That's how people become good workers. Is not necessarily you know, doing all the right things at the right time, but being able to stick up for yourself when you need to. You know what I mean? When you're feeling like you're being stepped wrong, or, you know, people are looking at you, Chris, because that's what I have to do on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up, like I said, in a small town as a black kid, so I had to learn it very, very early in my life. You know, my dad never made anything about color, but it was always there. But he never let us see it that way. You know what I mean? So I hope I can do the same for my kids, you know, and that's what I mean is we got to be able to bat the eye to the stuff that doesn't matter, and, you know, focus on the things that are really true. You know what I mean? What we care about, what we believe in.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with it, bro, when you're talking about, you know, it taking something like what happened to George Floyd to happen for people to start looking at shit. Or
and it comes and goes, you know. 5 years, something else will happen, and we'll be right back here, literally in the same shoes. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense.
We don't ever learn. That's the problem.
Yep.
I mean,
they'll be small.
You know how it gets. I think the biggest thing, I said it on Friendo's podcast with Friendo, is, you know, as a police officer. Friendo. Yes, sir. I love Matt Friendo. You never no bad love for Friendo.
No, but Friendo's good people.
Definitely. I just wanted to shine, like I said on his podcast, and I wanted to shine the light on, you know, as a police officer, you sign up for that, just like I sign up to fight. So there should be a stipulation in every police officer's contract that when somebody's life is taken, whether it was by you or by somebody else, you know, by a victim, you know what I mean? Or by somebody that you were supposed to be apprehending. If they take somebody else's life and there's a crime scene, anytime there's a situation like that, you should be put somewhere, whether it's a drunk tank by yourself or, you know, somewhere where you are safe. Yes, I get you're the police officer, so your safety matters. So I'm not saying throw them in there with the people that they arrested, but I'm saying you need to have something wrote down in these oaths or in these contracts where when these police officers make a mistake, which I get it because people make mistakes every day, but when you make a mistake, you get it, you're at fault. So it's like, how come these police officers, when they make a mistake, aren't at fault? So therefore, it should be on every contract that when somebody's life is taken or something happens on a crime scene under, when you're on watch, whether there's 4, 5, 6, 20, 30, however many cops you got standing there, they all should be held until further, like just like a criminal would, until they know for a fact you are no longer a threat to anybody in the community. You know what I mean? Or and that you are 100% innocent. You know what I mean? That's and a lot of the guys that get apprehended as criminals are innocent, and they still get proven guilty. Or that a lot of guys that are guilty get away. So that's why I'm saying, why is it people have to die? I think if we completely cut the police officers off of their when they make a mistake, like, hey man, you got to sit here until we figure out what happened, and then we'll let you go home. I think a lot of the rioting and all the BS about the racial shit, which really doesn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? I think the racial shit is what they want. That's what people want.
Well, yeah, they want everybody to be divided,
yes,
bro. If we're all divided, then nobody's paying attention to their bullshit.
Yes, they want war. So that's why I'm saying, I think if we put cops, which I have buddies that are cops, and if they disagree with this, then so be it. But at the end of the day, I sign up to fight. So if I don't do something like make weight, I pay you. You know what I mean? That's my fine. If I don't get my medicals done, I don't fight. You know what I mean? I do something wrong during the fight, I don't win the fight. That's how it works, just like anything else. So you sign up for this to protect people. We're giving you power by being able to pull people over, apprehend people, throw people to the ground, be aggressive towards people. You know what I mean? So why isn't there a lining in their contract that says if you overstep your power until you are 100% proven innocent, that you did not overstep your power because of the situation that happened, because there is some situations where the police officer obviously have to protect their life. But if a guy's in handcuffs and he's getting his shit choked out of him and there's 3 or 4 people holding him down, you sit in that damn jail cell until something else comes back, proving you 100% innocent, when we got you on camera saying you ain't. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm saying, that's why the riots and all that stuff is happening. It's because these people see people getting held to a higher standard than we are. You make a mistake, you're in jail. Therefore, a police officer who makes a mistake, he should be held double accountable because he signed up for that job. Like that's my point. I don't sign up for fighting, and then when I don't fight well, be like, well, I signed up for it and I just wasn't prepared for it. So, it is what it is. Nah, man. If I signed up for a fight and got my ass whooped, nobody's gonna want to call me back because I didn't do it right. That's the whole point. That's why I'm saying, with a police officer, if you don't do your job right, you shouldn't be able to just go home with your family. You know what I mean? Definitely if somebody was killed, you know what I mean? You should be held to a higher standard than anybody else in the world because you are a police officer, which I get it because they're underpaid. So it's hard to, you know what I mean? It's hard to want to keep getting better at your job when everybody else is paid more. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of pointed fingers going on. So like I said, on Matt's thing, I think it's a 2-person problem, but I think a lot of,
because I mean, there's definitely situations where a cop's not in the wrong, man. Yep. Like, I mean, there's both sides to every story, but the moral of it is we need to be able to find that equal medium ground where this is this and this is that, and period. None of this bullshit, blue, green, red, whatever.
That's why
the 4 cops are off right. The 4 cops that killed the man are at home right now on suspended pay. What do you think people are gonna do, man?
Well,
that's like, oh yeah, sounds good. Yeah, it's cool. Let them chill. No,
that's why it's
burning shit to the ground.
That's why it's such a joke, man, when you hear about these incidents like this, and then all of a sudden, none of the officers were wearing body cams, but none of the footage was recorded, or shit like that. It's like, man, like,
and
we got all this access to data. We got I don't want to make this a super crazy political podcast, but I mean, we got all this shit on a availability to store data, track data, you know, do everything
Hey,
when it comes to storing it.
Watch my friendo interview, because I said the exact same thing you just said, with the cameras, the buildings that are around. You're talking about, you were in a city. You ain't even in a country. You're in a city. So there's probably 17 different angles. You know what I mean? So all 4 of those cops, and even the videos I seen, and I only watched it a couple times. It's hard to watch. Like I said, I love my fellow Americans, let alone my fellow Black Americans, because I know what a lot of them go through in the inner city, because I grew up in the country. So when I go to the inner city, I see it clear as day, because I didn't get treated that way, because if they tried that shit, my dad would have been right up in the principal's office. It's a small town. So like I said, my dad would go right up to the principal and be like, don't let me catch you outside of this school. You know what I mean? Because like I said, it's a small town. It ain't like the city. Everybody knows where you live. You know what I mean? So in the country, you got to do things a lot different, because people will run up on you out there. You know what I'm saying? Just like they will in the city, but it's even smaller. So you have to be careful how you treat people. In the city, they get away with a lot of things, man. That's why I said it makes me sick to my stomach, man. It really does. It's sad. Sad for our fellow Americans.
Well, like you were saying with the small town vibe, man, I mean, it's hard to hold, you know, somebody accountable in a city of 1 million compared to a, you know, town of, you know, 20,000. It's a lot. It's, you know, it's a drastic difference in that regard. That's where, like I was saying, you need like the technology and stuff so you can actually review it on a case by case basis. You need to
start pumping savage ass cops into these rural areas, man. You need to get, why aren't we training these 19, 20-year-old cops to be MMA fighters? Throw them in MMA fights, or make them do something that's so out of their world they're not used to it. You know, something that puts you, name something that puts your body in a state of, like, you know what I mean, of shock. Panic. Yeah,
it's shock. If your body's in a state of shock, your body ain't supposed to get hit in the face.
Yes, exactly. So that's why you see, high school sports can do that, but dude, you're so comfortable in those. It's nothing like fighting. You know what I mean? So you got 2 cops. Why can't you sign them up to fight? That way they know what it's like to that feeling. You know what I mean? The more you know that feeling, the more comfortable you're gonna be.
Well, we're talking about that fight and feeling, man. We've got a pretty big fucking fight this weekend, man. You got Khabib and Gaethje. So I want to know, who the fuck are you rolling with and why?
I've always been I like both guys. Like I said, every time I see a lot of title fights, there's not very many times I'm like, oh, I don't like one guy, man. I'm like I said, I like fighters. I respect all fighters, just for the fact of, you know, it's not easy to do this shit. But I'm going to have to go with Khabib, just for the fact of I'm a huge DC fan. I've always been a DC fan, so I love the relationship that DC carries with Khabib. So I like Khabib, but Gaethje is, dude, he's
Gaethje's a dog,
scary, bro. Man. He is freaking, because like he said in his interview, I seen it posted today. He said, even if I barely touch you, I leave damage. You know what I mean? If I touch you, damage. He said, one thing I know about Tony Ferguson is he likes damage. One thing we don't know about Khabib is, does he like damage? It's like, that's a scare. Like, that's the type of fighter I am. You know what I mean? I'm cool with, you want to go to war, man. Like I said, I hope Silva shows up like he showed up against Mark Hunt, because I'm totally cool with that, man. That's a brand builder. You know, like I'm not going nowhere. So that's what I like about Gaethje, is the fact that he never changed his style, even when people told him he should. He's changed it a little bit, don't get me wrong. But what really changed his style is the boy got laser surgery on his eyes, because he finally made enough money to fix his eyes. So now he can see a little better. It's crazy how when you can see, you're a better fighter. You know what I mean? The dude's just an absolute savage. So I think out of the last couple title fights, you know, even the DC Stipe fight, the last one, you know, I think I'm Gaethje's probably the scariest, you know, contender for sure. Unless you're talking Israel Rob, but
the thing that makes that fight so interesting is just that he's got that wrestling background. So it's, I told Corey the same thing. I mean, if I'm betting, I got to go with Khabib, but if anybody's got a chance to beat Khabib, Gaethje does, because if he can stop any of those takedowns and crack him in the mouth, we're going to find out real quick and in a hurry what Khabib can take and what Khabib can't take.
Yeah, and then you see a lot of these guys get the the wrestling credential, you know what I mean? But Gaethje actually is a very high level wrestler. So that's what I like. You know, you see a lot of these fighters come through and they say, oh, he was a high level wrestler, you know, and he was an all-state high school wrestler or some shit like that. That's not high level. You know what I mean? Like high levels guys that were, you know, All-Americans on any level in college. If you're an All-American, to me, you're pretty good. So guys like Gaethje, you know, John Jones, all those guys are high level wrestlers. So I don't feel like Khabib has really ran into anybody that is as high level as Gaethje is takedown defense wise. Gaethje doesn't force wrestling in a lot of his fights, but that's because he forces violence. You know what I mean? So that's just a complete different animal.
Yeah, you got your fam shouting out in the comments over here, big dog, talking about nobody's scarier than the big dog. I see you over here, man.
That's funny. No, my family's always got my back. That's what's so cool. And I think that's what, once again, I feel like that's why a lot of people don't understand, you know. A lot of fighters would call it quits when, you know, people say, oh, when, you know, my buddy was going to get in the UFC and the UFC told him he was too fat, so then he just hung him up. It's like, well, that tells you exactly why they probably didn't want your boy. I'm not like that. You know, I'll hang him up when my family tells me I should hang him up. And my family is coming to this fight. They come to every fight. They support me in every fight. You know what I mean? So yeah, I got a great family. That's a big part of my fighting is my family. I love fighting for my family. I think that's why I fight so hard, is because I represent
you got something to fight for.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, man, before we let you get out of here, any last words for your opponent, Bigfoot Silva, and what the fans can expect on October 30th live for Taura MMA? Also, where the hell can you watch it? Is it going to be on Fight TV or?
It's on Fox Sports.
Nice.
So not your local Fox Sports channel, the actual Fox Sports channel.
Yeah, okay. I've seen that. Was actually. Not to interrupt. I seen that they announced that today. I seen that it was. Is it just the Deportes channel, or is it actually all?
Deportes. The Deportes is probably like for the Brazilian people in America.
That's what I assume.
So that you can get it in Portuguese. But they're gonna obviously Fox Sports will probably have it in English, like that's, and I'm sure they're gonna be doing something probably on their Facebook. You know, it seems like and I'll know more this Saturday because they're doing a show this Saturday, so I'll be able to kind of see how things are ranked. Because like I said, I've never really fought for them, so, and I'm not, like I said, they're not paying us for ticket sales or nothing like that, so I haven't been really too prone. Like I said, I'm getting ready for my wedding, and I'm worried about the things that you know I care about. So
yeah, you got enough stress on your end.
Yeah, and I obviously you know I do all my promotion very well on my page for my fights and shit. So it's not like I'm just in the dark. But yeah, it should be on Fox Sports as far as I know, and I'm sure my manager and all them will be down there. So I'm sure somebody will be going live on Facebook. You know, so. And yeah, big love to Bigfoot for you know, coming back and fighting. You know, guys like me don't get opportunities like that without veterans in the game, and I hope I'm in his shoes one day. You know, taking on some young vet after I've had a great career and everybody in the world knows who I am. So yeah, I'm expecting to go in there and, like I said, man, handle business pretty quick. We've been working on some things very hard the last few years, and
so you're looking for a finish then.
Oh no, yeah. No more bullshit, man. No decisions, no DQs, none of that. I'm not even gonna let it get there. You know what I mean? I'm like I said, I feel like my athleticism and all the rest of the things that I do are just gonna be too big of an issue for him. You know what I mean? You know, all I gotta worry about is his big punches. You know what I mean? He's a black belt, but I'm like one of the last people in the world you want to be on the ground with, and I can promise you that. So. The ground don't really scare me, and maybe I do get subbed up one day. When it comes, I'll swallow those words. But I grapple with a lot of high level grapplers now, and like I said, man, I'm going to be a big issue for people on the ground. So I'm ready for wherever the fight goes. I'm thinking first round finish. I want to get in there, get done with handle business, and you know, get to hanging out with my lady, be able to enjoy a drink, and you know, talk about the rest of our life.
Hey, man, I like it, and congratulations to you both Mr. and Mrs. Martin. Hey, in the comments, they're asking you to share out what's going on with the Fox Sports thing for the people who can't be there and all that good stuff. But, hey, man, I just want to say again, congratulations on the wedding. And, hey, you already know what it is, man. We've been rocking with you for a while now.
Yes, sir. Since the start.
Hey, man, we're in the corner, bro. Do your thing.
I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll if anybody that's in the comments that wants something with the Fox Sports, all you have to do once again is just follow my page. Like I said, I post definitely fight week. I post almost every day. You know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll post. The day of the fight, I'll post. So obviously when I'm down there, the week of the fight, I'll get a lot more information in person. So if you're paying attention to my page, I promise you won't miss nothing. I always make sure to reach out to my fans, and whether I win, lose, or draw, you usually hear from me within the hour after my fight. So
well, make sure they know your social medias for anybody that ain't got them and just checking us out on the side over here, man.
Yup. Brett Wilbur Martin is my main Facebook page. Brett Big Dog Martin is the fight Facebook page, and Big Dog 285 on Instagram. And yeah, like I said, man, I appreciate
you use your Twitter, do you?
No, never really been a Twitter guy, but it sounds like when you get to the UFC, they kind of make you, because that's how they do all their betting and whatnot.
That's the only reason why I was never on social media. My old lady, the only thing my Facebook's full of is her tagging me in pictures with the kids and shit like that.
Yep, and that's how it should be.
I hopped on Twitter, man, because literally you can get straight interaction with a lot of fighters. I get direct interaction.
You get a lot of like the fastest. Usually the feed on Instagram or Facebook is from Twitter when you see fight finishes or fight interviews. So I'm sure I'll come around at some point. It's just right now I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, you start paying me a little bit more money, man, I'm open to whatever. But right now, I like I said, my plate's pretty full. Sorry, my dog hit my cord.
Your dog's telling you it's time to go, man. We're getting towards that time. Make sure you follow us at KO3C Pod on Twitter and Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube by the time it's up, you're probably looking at the buttons right now, right there in front of you. Like we said, follow this man on all his social medias, and make sure you're checking it out October 30th, live on Fox Sports, as he takes on Bigfoot Silva. And also make sure you're checking that out so you also see fellow Michigan native Darren Cruikshank doing his thing on October 30th as well. Darren, if you watch this, bro, I've been telling you forever, man. Let's bring you on the show. Let's do this shit. Until next time, and in the in-between time, peace.
You good?
Yes, sir.